Mayor? Oh, no.
We'll have to get new batteries.
Did you hear what John said? He said you wouldn't be able to do it.
Good afternoon and welcome to our first meeting of July. We have several people in our audience, and hopefully we have a few more people watching us on our Electric City Television. The invocation tonight will be given by Councilman Jeff Roberts, and respects to the flag will be led by Councilman Tony Stewart. Please rise.
This past weekend, America celebrated its Independence Day. And I had a song on my mind, and it was actually written as a prayer. And it's God Bless America. And I would like to recite this prayer as our invocation, so please join me. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of things before we get into the body of our meeting. The first one is a special recognition of a promotion, Captain David Creamer. And I think the Major is going to lead us through this, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Katie.
I first want to thank the mayor and the council for allowing us the opportunity to have this recognition, and I want to ask Captain Creamer to come down, and want to recognize his family as well, his wife, his mom, and I believe his sister, correct? And his dad, former Lieutenant Creamer, who's also retired Lieutenant Creamer, with the Anderson City Police Department. If you'll step down, please. And I think I can speak on behalf of myself and on behalf of the chief and the command staff and the entire city police department that we want to congratulate David on this honor. Captain David Creamer has been employed by the Anderson City Police Department for over 21 years. After serving 10 years in the patrol division, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant within the detention center. In 2009, Captain Creamer was transferred to the position of Internal Affairs Investigator, and then in 2011, his services were needed in investigations. In August 2012, he was transferred back to Internal Affairs upon appointment by then Interim Chief Stewart. In 2013, he was promoted to Lieutenant over Administrative Services. He currently serves on the Crisis Negotiation Team with the City of Anderson SWAT Team and as the Public Information Officer for the Police Department. He was selected Officer of the Year in 2003 and received a resolution from the State of South Carolina House of Representatives. Lieutenant, now Captain Creamer, is a third-generation police officer who follows in the footsteps of his grandfather, who was killed in the line of duty with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, and his father, retired after 35 years with the City of Anderson. Captain Creamer will be assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, David Creamer,
As a captain of the City of Anderson,
as a captain of the City of Anderson,
will equally, fairly, and impartially,
will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
and will use my best endeavors
and will use my best endeavors
to preserve the peace and carry into effect, according to law,
to preserve the peace and carry in effect according to law,
the purposes for which I have been elected,
the purpose for which I have been elected.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. service.
Next on our agenda, we have the election of the mayor pro tem, and I'll get Mr. McEwen to lead us through that.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the Anderson City Code specifies that the mayor pro tem shall be elected from the council membership and shall serve a term of 1 year. The term of the year of the term is with our fiscal year, so July 1st to June 30th. The mayor pro tem serves in the absence of the mayor and as a representative of the city council at events, functions, speaking engagements, and according to section 2-220 of the municipal code of the city of Anderson, the next council member in rotation is Mr. Tony Stewart, and who is willing to serve as mayor pro tem. This requires the council general approval for a vote, and turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And guess I won't have to reach for my right-hand man. I'd entertain a motion to elect.
So moved.
First by Dr. Thompson, second by Mr. Harbin. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a new mayor pro tem. And I'd like to thank Dr. Thompson for her year of service and doing a great job on that, and look forward to working with Tony. The minutes of our June 24th meeting were distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Not hearing any. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
First by Mr. Lockhart, second by Mr. John Roberts. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes of June 24th passed unanimously. We don't have any old business, so we'll move directly into our new business. We have 4 items of new business, and the first item is request consideration to purchase Viewpoint Cloud software for the building department and other city departments. Mr. McEwen.
Well, the city has officially moved as of July 1st into its new fiscal year for 2019 to 2020. And as part of that, we have several items on the agenda tonight for that requires requests for consideration for procuring several different things. And the first 2 items are actually technology related, and these are important and necessary. Part of our city's operations is to invest in technology. This item before you on item B1, along with agenda item B2, enhances our operational efficiency both internally and with how we interface with citizens and those that we do business with. I'm going to call on Andrew Strickland, Assistant City Manager, to go over this first request.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Like the mayor mentioned, this is a request to purchase Viewpoint cloud software for the city of Anderson. Staff has spent about 1.5 years researching different functionalities, different softwares for this purpose. This will move our building department, planning department, and several other departments into an online permitting platform, as well as online building inspections, integrated building inspections. Developers, engineers, architects will be able to submit plans online once we get a little farther down the road. This will greatly streamline our process and really bring us up to 2019, where we currently are. This is a really good software, actually. In my previous role, I was able to demo several of these softwares. And had we known about Viewpoint, we would have purchased this. This is a great, very intuitive system, and I know staff looks forward to being able to use it as well. Most notably, this software integrates very well with our Cartograph system for building inspections that we currently use for building inspections, utilities, that sort of thing. So it'll be a seamless integration in that respect. Let's see, financials. You can see the total cost for this first year is $49,471, and that does include any rollout costs in addition to the annual subscription cost. And that annual subscription cost after that first year is $37,000, $37,680. If you have any technical questions, I'm not the guy to talk to. Mark Cunningham is here, and he'll be happy to answer any of those.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions? I know we looked at this and talked about it. I heard our contractor, builder friends talk about that aspect of it. Mr. Chapman, and then Ms. Stewart.
I just have one. So is this, is the viewpoint or the choreograph the one that will do our building maintenance for our buildings ourselves? That integrates with that?
Cartograph will actually do that, but there will be some functionality that Viewpoint has as well to feed into that and provide it with more data.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chapman? Stewart?
When we looked at, I guess, the viewpoint, is this the one that's mostly widely used across the state? Because I know I do a lot of permitting in North and South Carolina, you know, building and zoning, and I know a lot of agencies, like York counties, and as you start moving up to North Carolina, everybody has adopted this one system, and I think it's called IDT or something like that, where you submit the plans online, but it doesn't allow you to do everything. You know, a lot of commercial jobs you can't submit online. You can mainly do residential, and just didn't know, is this going to be able to submit both commercial and residential, and then what extent, and then does it allow, like, for express review? You know, if you wanted to submit plans and get an express review fee, does it allow you to go online and click the button for express review, or?
I'll let Mark answer some of those questions, but I will say I did have a demo personally of this software, and everything you just mentioned, it should be able to do. I mean, it's a very robust software, and basically we set the parameters of what we want to allow folks to accomplish through this platform.
Oh, so we haven't really, we're buying a program where we can do a lot of different things with it, but we just don't know what we want to do with it yet.
No, we know exactly
what you're saying.
What we do. We absolutely know exactly what we want to do with it. But if there's anything additional that the council staff feels like needed to be added in that wasn't taught through during the demo process, these folks are in the platform itself are very capable of doing that.
Yeah, I would just add that it's very customizable. So it comes with the features built in, but if we have any specific requests, then we can build those into it without having to go back and have them redesign anything. So we can go in and just make selections and change the way it works on the fly. And as far as like fees, you know, that's one thing that it has its own payment system built into it. The citizens, the city would not be responsible for losing any money on that, but we can charge the fees online with the payment processor that they provide.
Yeah, I think, you know, what we typically pay online is called something like Citizen Azalea, something like that, where you can, you know, once you submit the plans, then you'll get an email kicked back to you where you can pay for the plan review online, and then it continues the plan review process. I guess it's similar to what we'll be doing here.
That's exactly right. And then at each step of the process, once everybody has say, reviewed your project, you as an applicant will get an email or a notification, however you'd like to receive that, letting you know it's moving along. So it's a very intuitive process.
Okay.
Ms. Chapman?
Tapping on to what Mr. Stewart said, but so like Greenville City has one that you can submit full documents through, and it's a portal that you submit through it, and then they send you a response back.
That's right.
That is by category of each department. That would be the same type system that we would keep on this, and then
Exactly right.
and then any kind of adjustments that are made to that are added through the portal.
Exactly right.
Perfect.
Well, and actually that reminds me of a very important question that I had was, you know, some of these systems limit the file size, the architects especially, but engineers as well can submit. There's no limit to file size with this system. So you know, if you need to submit a 50 gig architectural drawing, you can do that. It's all cloud-based, and there's unlimited storage on Viewpoint's side for us to handle those.
And those will always stay on file. So like, I know some people ask, the fire department will ask to see plans of a building for for fire protection and things like that. So,
That's right.
all right, perfect.
Anything else, guys?
Think we're making a step in the right direction to get things more automated and especially being able to keep up with our building maintenance on our own buildings, and look forward to seeing how that process is gonna continue to work and how the scheduling is gonna work for our buildings. And with that, I'll make a motion that we approve it.
First by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Mr. Chap. Further discussion?
One quick question here. With regard to the Economic Development Office, is that something that you see going forward, will they be able to do more tracking with this system as well? Because I know it's the top application process for grants, et cetera, but will it build in, I mean, is there gonna be a little more with them?
I'll let Ms. Strickland answer that as well.
No, absolutely. So essentially, anything, any city department or city process that requires an application, that could be a parade permit or who knows, an ice cream stand permit, could potentially use this system. So it's essentially just customizing what that form looks like and the information that you're asking for, and directing folks to that platform.
Good, thank you.
Anything else, guys?
When do you expect it to be up and operational where you can submit the first plans?
I would get, the big thing is gonna be the exporting of the historical data. We have a support agreement with the existing software provider through the end of the year. So we wanted this 6-month period to have them on retainer in case there was any problems importing their own data, then we could still have them available to do that. They're not gonna be in business after the end of this year, so our goal is to have everything done prior to that and being live with the new product. So within the next 3 to 4 months.
I've noticed, just like last week, the city of Raleigh, they were shut down the whole week because they're still doing paper. They went over to a system similar to this, but all their departments were shut down while they went through their training and something like that.
Well, I doubt we'll do that. I'll go ahead and make a stand and say that we will not be shutting down our submittal process to allow staff to do that. We're going to get training done concurrently so that there's no drop in service at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Our second item of new business is request consideration of a contract for cardiograph software. Ms. McEwen?
So the second item does tie into B1, but this is the backbone system that we've been using, and it first started in the wastewater department, really from our mandates that we have from the EPA to have a operational management software and asset management software as well, that really tracks our assets and all the various programs that we're involved in compliance with the EPA of our wastewater division, our utilities division. And we've expanded that out to recreation, stormwater, public works, and building maintenance. And so the system just continues to be built out, and it's just, as mentioned before, it's very robust as far as what you can build into it. And so we're always entering new assets into it and always entering new data into it, and it will always be a living and very moving software database. I'll turn this, so this is our first renewal that comes up and that we've had in front of us, but this is the cardiograph, the full backbone software renewal for an additional 3-year period. And Mr. Strickland and Mr. Cunningham can answer some of the questions on this as well.
Well, I couldn't have said any better myself. Any questions? No. The only thing I will add is that this will also allow us to purchase 5 additional licenses for SeeClickFix. SeeClickFix, as you're aware, is our new app, Citizen Reporter app. It helps us engage with the public a little bit better, and that's gotten some really good support over the last month that it's been live. So this will expand that a little bit more and provide some more functionality as well, in addition to that renewal of the cardiograph license. You'll see the overall cost there as well. There is a 3% increase annually over the life of the 3-year contract. You can see that broken down in your sheet, as well as the different funds that we will be charging that amount to. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions, comments?
And I'll add to it, Mr. Mayor and Council, that the C-Clip Fits app, I tell you, it's been really beneficial, very seamless, and it connects with Cardiograph. And so I've used it several times myself. I just see something and report that through the app, and I get an email response back, and it says who it's assigned to, the staff member, and then another email response back when things are moving forward with it, and then ultimately completed that, whatever I submitted in litter, for example, is one of the items I submitted in, and it was assigned to a department, and then I got immediate feedback back from the department, and then ultimately it was closed out saying that the litter had been cleaned up. So it's been a great tool for us, and we encourage everybody that's watching us here tonight to download the C-Click Fits app from the App Store, and you can also find it on, what's the other store you're going to tell me about, Mark? Google Click. Okay, I'm not that tech savvy on that, but
Google Play.
Google Play. So on Google Play, you can download as well. But I encourage the public to do that. And we'll continue to market that out because it's definitely a huge asset to have with our interface with our citizens.
Good. It's a good idea. Any questions, comments?
Motion.
I was looking, why does the sewer fund take the brunt of this?
So the sewer fund actually is, right now is the biggest components of all the different programs that we manage in compliance with the EPA. So they're still, funding the majority of it, and as it gets built out even more with each of the funds, we'll spread it out. But right now, the majority of the database is still the sewer fund, because we originally started with that and all the different programs that they have to comply with.
We're trying to get out of
EPA consent.
EPA consent agreement, and we paid a lot. Anyway, good question.
Even though we had to do it, looks like we're building on it and taking advantage of what it can do for us. So with that, I make the motion to approve.
First by Mr. John Roberts.
Second.
Second by Mr. Jeff Roberts. Mr. Harvey.
I'd like to maybe enhance our educational arm. I would be willing to bet the general public doesn't know that we have an app that can be reported. So if we can get Ms. Batson to write up something real flashy that everybody will download. Because I don't have it on my phone. I don't know, does any of my other council members have it?
I do. For the street light.
3 of them have it?
Got it.
So we've been marketing it through social media alike, and that way it's a direct off our different Facebook page and everything like that. But I think Ms. Martin, you said it's going to be on our utility bill, and so
Mark is working on an insert to put in our utility bill to let all of the citizens know.
How long, 3 years already?
no, not this, not that.
No,
That
one
just came out, so it just
30
came out
days.
a couple weeks ago. Yeah, about 30 days in. So, but we'll try to get something into the paper, Letcher City News or one of those outlets as well, and because we definitely want as many people that download it to use it.
Yeah, I think if you reach out to Kerry Jones with the Main Street program, they have like 40,000
That's a great idea. Sure will.
users.
They do. Big following.
That's a good
There you
system. Complaints from Greenville.
Have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. Our next item is request consideration to purchase 8 vehicles for the police department. Ms. McEwen.
So again, as another new budget item, we did budget for 8 replacement vehicles into the police department fleet. So before you is 8 2020 Dodge Chargers to replace older vehicles and equipment that we have. These will, as we've been doing this the last couple of years, we've put everything together so they would be turnkey vehicles with all the equipment that's needed, so that that an officer uses on a day-to-day basis. Major Carson is here to go over the full background of the request.
As Mr. McEwen stated, the police department is requesting to purchase the following vehicles and equipment, that being 8 new 2020 Dodge Chargers. Probably within the last 6 months, the department's come closer to being as fully staffed as we have been in several years, and with that is, you know, the need for additional resources. Those 8 vehicles been state contracted, will come out of Manning, South Carolina. Same state contract that we've had since 2008. That includes the following. The first would be the emergency equipment that was bid out. Tri-County and Holly Hill has won that bid the last 2 years, as who we would go with again. That also includes the dash cameras. You are aware that we just received 35 WatchGuard cameras from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety, and those 35 were used to replace existing dash cameras in all of the current vehicles that we have. So in order to stay in line with that, we will be purchasing additional WatchGuard cameras, that particular brand, to match the other vehicles. And that has been bid out. The total cost on that, I think, was $17,458. There was one bid that was a little bit less, but that was because it requires server storage, which would have increased that cost. Not making any sense. I think I just confused myself. We also have police radios. We're requesting 10 radios. Reason being, we have 2 spare cars that do not have in-car radios, which kind of presents a problem from time to time when you don't have an in-car radio. Kimball Communication, the county purchases from this vendor. The county has agreed to pay the user agreement fees. And our staff recommends approval to purchase the above vehicles that I just mentioned, emergency equipment and dash video cameras. Total cost from capital equipment funding is $257,831.28.
Thank you, Major. Any questions or comments? Ms. Stewart?
8 vehicles that we're purchasing, will 8 be coming offline, or is this in addition to the fleet that we already have?
This would be in addition to the fleet that we currently have.
Ms. Chapman, and then Dr. Thompson.
This is more of a technical question. You may not be able to, but as far as the dash cams, I noticed the ones that you're suggesting are DVD based, which DVRs are the latest technology along with cloud based. I'm just curious why we're going to something that's a DVD.
That is probably more of a technical question, but I can say that we're trying to stay in line with the 35 cameras that were given to us by the Department of Public Safety that we just recently used to replace our current ones. So that would be part of that reason.
Okay.
And I've had that same question before, and I've looked into it. The Highway Patrol's also been using this as technology still, and we found that it's very reliable and that it works very well for us as far as the tracking and taking that disc out, and a little bit easier than keeping up with the SIM cards or the storage cards. And so it's worked out real well with us, and so we're just continuing to stay on the same platform at this point.
So it's just a rewriting version, or is it just?
Yeah, you take out the disc, and then you got another disc that you put in there. Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you.
Dr. Thompson?
Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead, I'm sorry. So several things. We do buy a lot of different type of police vehicles. We have some SUVs in our fleet. Of course, we have those for K9s. We have some Tahoes. We have some Ford Interceptors. Recently, we bought a new Ford Interceptor, which is a sedan from Ford, and they have a police package. and we bought some Durangos. So we do have other vehicles. We bought some pickup trucks, a good many of those last year. The Dodge Charger, just as Ford discontinued the use of the Ford Crown Victorian, the famous Ford Crown Victorian, right? The Dodge Charger just really gave the room and the space needed, like the Crown Victorian did, and Ford just wasn't able to match that. What's interesting though, as we move forward, and I was just talking to the county's fleet manager the other day, is that you're going to see these major automotive companies, including Ford, GM, and Daimler Chrysler, all move out of building the sedans. So we actually are preparing for the Police Interceptor and the Charger to be discontinued in the future. And they're going to move primarily to SUVs, and that's just what they're seeing in the market. So it'll be interesting if another competitor comes out then and creates another sedan vehicle that can compete in the law enforcement area. But it's kind of a change of market.
Interesting.
I bet it's fast too, right?
Any other questions, guys?
Since we're adding 8 vehicles to our existing fleet, and all of our officers have a take-home vehicle, does that mean we're adding 8 more officers to our force?
We have added, since, I don't have the total number, but since December, I believe we were 14 officers down. We're somewhere around the 2-3 mark, so we have added a considerable number of officers. So those vehicles would go for those officers.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Yes. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
First by Mr. Harbin, second by Mr. Lockridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Major. Our last item of new business is request consideration of an ordinance amending the 2018-2019 annual budget. Mr. McEwen?
So we do this on a yearly basis, particularly right as we finish up the last fiscal year. And so the request before you is amending the previous year's budget that just ended June 30th, the 2018-2019 annual budget, by increasing the general fund revenues $903,000, the water fund $40,498, the sewer fund $64,482, and economic development fund $64,000. And what this is, throughout the year, we'll have different things, grants that we received that we didn't budget for, but it was great that we received the grant. And what you have to do accounting-wise is increase the revenue, increase the expenditures as well, and to adjust for that. So you have a better comparison from year to year of your budget. And so Ms. Martin will go through some of the different details of some of the changes that, or some of the amendments that are proposed.
Okay, so as David had mentioned, when the city adopted its budget for this year last June, certain items have come up and council, it's awfully loud. Certain items have come up that council has made decisions on, and we want to reflect that in the final amended budget. In the audit, you have original budget, amended budget, and then actual. So the budget amendment is reflecting those decisions that council has made. We're not actually amending day-to-day operations or expenses. So the summary below is we are requesting the following, reflecting the general fund's use of prior year e-share monies that were received in fiscal year 18. We spent them in this year of 19 for 7 police vehicles for $206,549, and council approved that last October of 18. We're also increasing grant revenues and expenditures for a total of $163,989. $20,000 is related to the Justice Assistance Grant, or JAG, the Traffic Enforcement Grant of $85,000, and $57,000 for the Law Enforcement Victims Advocate Grant. And all those grants were brought before you, it looks like, also in October of 18. We have the continuation of the Under the Bridge project, and they received additional grant monies of $64,000, so we are asking for an increase in that in the Economic Development Fund. We are asking for an increase of professional fees related to the New Strat contract that was approved by council last August of 18 in the amount of $329,330. We're also asking general fund appropriated unrestricted fund balance for the asbestos abatement at 600 South Main of $54,000, and council approved that in January of 19 of this year, as well as the purchase of a storage area network for IT. That was approved by council also in January of 19. And then we are asking for a budget amendment for the Ellis Street Extension Rehab Project for $196,106, which is paid from unrestricted fund balances of the general fund of $91,000, water fund $40,000, sewer fund $64,000, and council approved that just in April of 19. Would like to also note that these amendments to the budget are reflected of unrestricted fund balance, still keep our unrestricted fund balances in line with our projections that were presented to you with the budget. So with that, I'm requesting approval of the ordinance amending this budget on first reading. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
I
Ms.
know
Chapman?
every year we always do this, and Mr. Kervin used to always comment on it, but this is a typical pattern that we do, that all municipalities do after the fact, after a budget.
Correct. Some municipalities do it each time they come to council. As you see on your back, on the ordinance, I listed each council meeting where you have made that decision and approval. The auditors and finance prefer to do it one time. So when we're updating the records, we're only going in the system one time. And so that our budget or the audit, you'll have original budget, you'll have amended budget, and in total, we didn't want to have 9 amended budgets. So that's why we do. But as I try to explain to other council members, we're not amending gas or salaries or things where we maybe not have forecasted correctly. These are truly new decisions you made after the budget was approved.
Right, well, the way you explain it, that's the best explanation I've heard since I've been on.
Well, thank you.
I would say, for example, like the Under the Bridge grant, was that a one-year grant or is that a multi-year grant? And the reason I say that is, sometimes if you're in a grant cycle, 1 year, second year, third year, do we capture that within the budgeting process?
In the budgeting process, we only budgeted a certain amount, and they received $64,000 more dollars, plus they spent that $64,000. So we want the budget to reflect that grant. It's a little different than a federal grant where you have the cycles.
Right.
The Under the Bridge grant was a little bit different.
I got you. Okay, thanks. Any other questions?
Move that we adopt.
First by Mr. Lockridge, second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you.
Administrative briefing, Ms. McEwen.
You'll find in your packets the quarterly administrative briefing, and we have a lot of activity going on in the city and through the various departments that's listed. And so please review that on your own. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to you. It's 6 or 7 pages long, so I won't take the time to read through all of that tonight. But going into tomorrow night, Mr. Lawford is having a scheduled, if I'm not mistaken, Seat Sits Neighborhood Watch meeting at 6:30 p.m. at the Recreation Center.
That's correct.
On the 11th is the block party from 6 to 9 p.m. at Carolina Wren Park. On Friday, the 12th, we're having movie night at Carolina Wren Park, and it starts at 8:55 or when it turns dark, and it's The Goonies. And our next meeting is scheduled for July the 22nd. And with that, that concludes my administrative report.
Thank you, sir. A lot of good stuff going on. I read my quarterly progress last night. A lot of good stuff. We have an executive session. You want to describe that for us, David?
Yes, sir. We're staff's requesting to go into executive session to discuss the receipt of legal advice from the city attorney relating to matters covered by the attorney-client privilege.
Thank you, sir. I'd entertain a motion to go to executive session. First by Mr. Lockhart, second by Mr. Newton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand in executive session. Motion to come back into executive session, come out of executive session. Have first by Dr. Thompson, second by Mr. Lockridge. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We stand out of executive session. In executive session, we heard a discussion in regards to some legal advice from our city manager and city attorney. At this time, there will be no action taken on this executive session item. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Harbin. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.